In Isaiah 43:1, God says, "I have summoned you by name. You are mine." But this morning, in the mirror, before the day even started, you barely recognized the face looking back at you. Because sometime between who you were and who you are now, something happened that quietly rewrote your name. And you've been answering to the wrong one ever since. You didn't wake up today choosing a new identity. You woke up wearing one that was handed to you slowly, without warning, by a season you didn't ask for. The rewriting was not dramatic, it was quiet, a betrayal that came out of nowhere. A loss that rearranged the furniture of your life without asking. A season of disappointment that lasted longer than anyone told you it would. One conversation that took something from you. One silence that took more. One closed door you are still standing in front of, hoping you'll eventually stop hoping. Somewhere in the middle of surviving all of that, you stopped being the person you remember. And you started being the person the hurt made. You learned a new vocabulary for yourself, new words, new beliefs. You became fluent in a language that was never yours. So before the day asks anything else of you, this morning is for something simple. Hearing a different name spoken over you. The name that was yours before. The name that is still yours. Not a promise that everything is fine. Not a guarantee that the memory will fade. Just an honest reminder that what happened to you was never meant to be the whole story of who you are. The verse today is Isaiah 43:1. Hear it in the NIV slowly. But now, this is what the Lord says. He who created you, Jacob, he who formed you, Israel. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. Before anything else today, stand still where you are. Let your feet feel the floor. Then quietly, out loud if you can, say your own name. Not the way a stranger would say it, the way God says it, as if you're hearing it for the very first time. As if the name you just said has been yours all along and nothing that happened was ever strong enough to take it from you. This verse is offering you 3 things to carry into the rest of your day. First, the right to hear the name God gave you, not the name that what happened tried to hand you in its place. Second, the right to believe that being wounded is not the same thing as being disqualified from anything good. Third, the right to walk forward the way Jacob did, limping and renamed in the same morning, in the same body, with the same sky over his head. The morning started the way a lot of mornings start for you. You walked past the bathroom mirror before the coffee was even ready. You caught a glimpse of yourself in the glass, and something in you paused, just for half a second. Not because of the lines around your eyes or the grey in your hair or any of that, because you didn't fully recognize the person standing there. Or maybe it wasn't the mirror at all. Maybe you were scrolling on your phone before the day began, and a photo from years ago surfaced. A version of you from before all of this. A trip, a holiday table, a hug with someone you trusted then. And the gap between that face and the one you live in now felt wider than time alone could explain. This is how identity gets rewritten. Not all at once. It happens in seasons. Seasons of being told what kind of person you are. By someone who walked out without finishing the conversation. By a job that let you down after years of showing up for it. By a friendship that quietly stopped showing up for you. By your own voice late at night when the house is finally quiet and there's no one left to perform for. The names come in slowly. Broken. Too much. Used up. Behind. Not enough. Too sensitive. Too needy. The list is long and you have added to it yourself. over the years. And the worst part is you didn't even choose them. You just stopped correcting them. They moved in, they unpacked, they started answering to your name at the door. And somewhere along the way, you forgot which name was yours first. In Genesis 32, Jacob is on his way back to the land he ran from years earlier. He is afraid. He has spent years building something in a foreign land, and now he is bringing it all back to face the brother he wronged. He sends his family and everything he has across the stream first, and that night he stays on the other side alone. A man wrestles with him until daybreak. When the man sees he cannot overpower Jacob, he touches the socket of Jacob's hip and wrenches it. Jacob walks away limping. Before the sun comes up, the man asks him what his name is. Jacob answers, and then the man says, "You will no longer be called Jacob. Your name will be Israel." Then Jacob crosses the river to meet his brother, carrying both things at the same time, a real injury, a new name. He's not healed first. He's not made whole first. He is renamed, and he limps forward into the rest of that morning. The application for you this morning is this: the injury is real. Don't let anyone, including yourself, talk you out of how heavy it has been. Don't let the world convince you that admitting the weight is the same as being weak, but a new name was spoken over the injury, and the two are not opposites. They happened in the same story. So if you are still limping, that does not disqualify you from being renamed. And if God is still calling you by the name He gave you, whose name have you been answering to instead? So let's bring this into a prayer now. You don't have to perform anything. You don't have to sound like anyone else. You don't have to be ready. Just bring yourself and bring the wrong name you've been carrying. We'll set them both down here at the same time and let them go. Father, you are the God who speaks names into being. Before anything else existed, you spoke and things became real. You called light out of darkness. You called Abraham out of nothing. You called Jacob Israel in the middle of his wrestling while he was still gripping the stranger and limping at the same time. You call each of us by name before we know how to answer. You knew me before the hurt happened. You know me now in the middle of the aftermath, and nothing that happened to me has changed how you see me. You are still the one who formed me. You are still the one who called me. You are still the one who redeemed me. You are not confused about who I am, even when I am. Today, I'm bringing you the wrong name I've been wearing, the one the betrayal wrote across my chest, the one the loss carved into the way I introduce myself, the one the disappointment etched into my shoulders, so I carry it everywhere without realizing I'm carrying it. I'm laying it down here at your feet. I'm also releasing the belief that healing has to happen first before I can be renamed. The belief that I have to be whole before I'm allowed to be who you say I am. The belief that the limp disqualifies me from the blessing. You renamed Jacob while he was still limping, before the sun came up, before he crossed the river, before he made things right with anyone. So I'm coming to you limping, and I'm asking you to call me by the right name again. Lord, I confess that I have agreed with the voice that says, "This is just who I am now." The voice that calls me broken and then asks me to keep showing up anyway. I let shame stand in for identity. I wore the wrong name so long it stopped feeling like a costume and started feeling like the truth. I stopped questioning it. I stopped correcting it. I introduced myself that way to other people and over time, to myself. And I confess that I performed even here, even now, in prayer, already defended, already composed, already a sentence ahead of you, explaining why I don't really deserve the other name, why I haven't earned it, Why someone else would be more believable than me, forgive me for that. Forgive me for making you wait while I qualified myself to be loved. Today, I need wisdom for a decision I'm carrying, the kind that lives in my chest and won't leave me alone. I don't need the whole answer right now. I don't even need a clear sign, just the next right thing, the next honest step. Show me what obedience looks like today, even before I see the outcome. I ask for protection today. Protect my mind from the false name replaying on a loop every time I close my eyes. Protect my mouth from speaking that name over myself again, out loud, in front of people who believe me. Protect my heart from quietly believing it the second no one is watching. Protect my home from the way I carry this into the people I love without meaning to. The way I make them pay for what someone else did. Be present in the ordinary moments, when I brush my teeth and stare at the mirror again, when the commute goes quiet and the old thoughts try to find a seat beside me. In the hard conversation I'm not looking forward to, in the unnoticed task that no one will thank me for. In all of it, let me hear the right name. I receive your forgiveness as fact, even if I don't feel it yet. Not because I have earned it, not because I finally performed well enough, because you said it, and you don't take back what you say. Now, I want to stop asking for a moment and start receiving. This is what is true about me today. I am not what happened to me. I am who you say I am. I am redeemed. I am called by name. I am yours. The name I gave myself in the middle of surviving is not my real name. The name you gave me before any of this is my real name, and I'm choosing that one today. 1 Peter 2:9 says, in the NLT, you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's very own possession. That is who I am today. Not the version of me that came out of the hurt, not the version I made to survive, the version that came out of you. The one you named before any of this happened. Thank you that the truest parts of me survived, even when I thought they didn't. Thank you for the small evidence that the real me is still in there. For the laugh that slipped out this week before I could stop it. Not the polite one I use to get through conversations, the real one. The kind of laugh that came from somewhere deeper than the hurt, somewhere the hurt never reached. It belonged to who I was before all of this. It came back without my permission. And I think that means the rest of them are still in there too. The patience I thought I'd lost. The kindness I assumed was gone. The parts of me that still believe in things without needing proof first. They don't need my permission to return. They never did. I trust that the name you gave me is still the truest name I have. I trust it more than the one I gave myself in the middle of surviving. I trust it more than the one other people spoke over me. I trust that the one who formed me is still forming me. And the name has not changed just because I forgot how to say it. If this morning spoke to a name you've been quietly carrying, the wrong one, leave it in the comments below. Tell us the name you're laying down, or just type the right one, the one God gave you. We'll pray with you. You're not alone in this. Someone else reading these words right now is wearing the same wrong name you are, and has been for longer than they want to admit. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Numbers 6:24-26. A blessing spoken over a people who had no idea what was coming next. The same blessing being spoken over you right now in the middle of your morning, before the day has had a chance to take anything else. Go look at yourself again today. Not the way the world looks at you, not the way the hurt looks at you, the way the one who called you by name looks at you. He hasn't stopped looking. He hasn't stopped calling. And the name he gave you is still in his mouth, still in his plan, still in his hands. Walk forward today, limping if you have to, renamed either way, the same sky, the same Father, the same name. Amen.